Since arriving on the scene in the early 90s, first-person shooters have been at the forefront of almost every aspect of our beloved pastime.
Technology, storytelling, gameplay, online gaming, co-op, audio design, immersion. And with good reason, it's the genre we live in every day. The perspective allows us to step into the shoes of others, and it turns out there's nothing we like doing more in the shoes of others than shooting people. I've already covered several first-person shooters in previous episodes of Escape, so as this is the penultimate episode of the series, let's use this as a menu for next year. If you think one of these series deserves the EFMS treatment, drop it in the comments and we'll see what we can do.
Here, the magnetic disk is loaded that contains the software for the games.
The first first-person shooter games like Maze War and Spasm, began to appear in the early 70s. Maze War paved the way for first-person RPGs like Dungeon Master, Phantasy Star and Abandoned Places, while Spasm was a space sim that inspired other simulator games like Battlezone. They slowly evolved over the 80s during the same time that mouse inputs were becoming wildly popular, but it was a Texas-based studio called id Software who really got the ball rolling. First with Hover Tank 3D, then Catacomb 3D, and eventually the game that would be popularly known as the first modern first-person shooter, Wolfenstein 3D. Wolf led to Doom, which led to Quake, but while id popularized the genre, they had worthy company, games like Shogo, Mobile Armor Division, Blood, Hexen and Duke Nukem 3D.
This was the birth of the golden age of PC gaming, a decade where gameplay experimentation was everywhere, and a time where some of the most enduring series in gaming were born.
Oh man, Unreal Tournament. How good was Unreal Tournament? I remember getting the demo on a PC Gamer cover disc and freaking out when I realized what it actually was. Wait, so this is a game where you just kill dudes? There's no story? You just friggin' shoot people? Forever? This is amazing!
You like that?
Quake 3 came out around the same time, causing the great OpenGL graphics card rush of 1999. I think that was probably the most exciting year in deathmatch shooters. And you know why? Space maps. UT had 2 castles floating in space facing worlds, skyscrapers floating in space Morpheus, and space stations floating in space Phobos. Quake 3 had space maps of its very own, including my favourite, The Longest Yard, with its tantalising railgun outpost.
Impressive.
Modern games don't have enough space maps. It's all serious and pseudo-realistic boringness. Oh, check out this real-world environment we created. Look, it's got a bathroom. It's so realistic, it's even got a script from the Quran in it. Back then we were playing level lord maps in massive kitchens and fake Simpsons houses. And they were free to download on a website or packed onto a magazine cover disc. Free maps, free mods, free entire conversions. In fact, Unreal Tournament 3 had a mod that turned the Redeemer into a Nyan cat. There was weapon balance, sure, but there was also fat modes, you know, playable eyeballs and announcers telling you that you were great at killing people.
Excellent. Monster kill.
The Unreal Engine spawned a bunch of great games like the surprisingly fun Nerf Arena Blast and the superb Star Wars shooter Republic Commando, while the Quake engines were responsible for some absolute classics. The Star Trek Elite Force series, where you got to shoot alongside some of your favourite Voyager characters, Captain Janeway, 7 of 9, Barack Obama, Soldier of Fortune, a game based on real-world missions where you could shoot dudes' arms, legs and faces off, and countless World War II shooters, Medal of Honor, Call of Duty and Return to Castle Wolfenstein. No shortage of World War II shooters back then, was there, Mortar? Hey, Battlefield 1942. For a more tactical World War II enthusiast, there was the brilliantly buggy Hidden and Dangerous, but for a more modern take, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six was a bloody tough hostage rescue game that laid a foundation for possibly the best tactical shooter ever made, Rainbow Six Rogue Spear, a game about a fictional Russian invasion of Georgia that proved sadly prophetic. In a similar vein, the incredible Police 'em Up SWAT 4. Not enough games have bits where you handcuff people with cable ties. Well, except those Asian rape games, but let's not go there.
Battle Raper 2.
No.
Then game mode.
Operation Flashpoint was as far into simulation as you could get, but there were other sneaky games like Delta Force and Project IGI.
God, remember Project IGI? Project I'm Going In? That's probably the worst acronym in gaming history, right? Well, apart from First Encounter Assault Recon.
Yeah, Fear was a pretty dubious title. Great game though, it let you slow down time and shoot ghosts. As 3D technology improved, it gave developers the ability to create some memorable immersive worlds. The electronic-powered feudal darkness of Garrett's world in Thief was a brutal place where staying in the shadows was the best way to ensure survival. System Shock Citadel Station, haunted by the evil AI Shodan, the twisted architecture and terrifying beeping vacuums of Alien vs Predator. And of course, Half-Life's Black Mesa. If I could go on and on about Half-Life, in fact I have done in a previous episode, If you've still never played it, please pick it up on Steam. It's about a quid or something. This period from the early 90s to sort of 2005 was an incredible time for the genre. Experimentation reached out in all directions: level design, weapons, settings, storytelling, gameplay. So many wonderful games: No One Lives Forever, Jedi Knight, Serious Sam, Red Faction, Tribes, The Chronicles of Riddick, Painkiller, Counter-Strike, Far Cry, Kingpin, Life of Crime, and even Postal 2. I loved Postal 2. It was a fantastic time to be a PC gamer.
And then consoles came. It ruined everything.
In the early days, console first-person shooters were badly conceived ports of much better PC games, but in 1995, GoldenEye gave console players their first taste of what PC gamers have been experiencing for years: varied levels, interesting weapons, multiplayer, but most importantly, a game that wasn't hindered by its control system. The game took advantage of the N64's analog controller to create an experience that didn't feel like a dumbed-down PC knockoff. And as the new millennium came, so too did new ways of controlling and high-quality first-person shooters like Perfect Dark, Turok, and Time Splitters. The tide began to turn around 2001 when Microsoft bought Bungie and decided they were going to stop the PC release of Halo. Instead, it would premiere on the Big M's new Xbox console and its intuitive, if massive, controller. After Halo, first-person shooters became the most sought-after genre on consoles. Market forces slowly started to get developers to look away from the PC, and so first-person shooters went multi-platform. This was the new age of the first-person shooter. New IPs like Killzone and Resistance were instant hits, and as the years rolled on, old friends from PC days gone by started to become huge on consoles. Before we knew it, the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 were lead platforms for most. Games like BioShock brought the feel of classic PC games to the living room. The Bad Company series injected some much needed character into Battlefield. The Elder Scrolls series had more success on consoles than it ever had on PC, while others like Operation Flashpoint had less success in the transition. Valve, one of the most historic PC developers, had massive success with Portal and Left 4 Dead, though less so with Team Fortress 2. Consoles are still frustratingly closed systems. But it's the war drum that beats the loudest, and in the last couple of years, the Call of Duty series has become the most popular shooter of all time. Perhaps Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was the top of the bell curve for first-person shooters. There have been some more great entries in the series, but since Ampella and West left Infinity Ward and brought most of the staff to Respawn, it's hard to get passionate about Call of Duty. While Medal of Honor's marketing campaign based on Linkin Park and grieving children isn't exactly changing minds about that particular series. Personally, I think Battlefield 3 is incredible, and it's interesting to see Counter-Strike Go try and grab the eye of esports, but perhaps we're getting past all the shooting. Some of the biggest games of recent memory have been first-person games where shooting is simply part of a wider experience or not in it at all. Games like Skyrim, where shooting arrows and fireballs is as close as you get to an FPS. Games like Portal, where exploration and traversal are the key. Games like Minecraft, Dear Esther, and Mirror's Edge. The feeling of shooting is a game mechanic like any other, and like any other game mechanic, there's only a certain amount you can do with it before it starts feeling old. That excitement I first had when I played Unreal Tournament and stuck somebody's head in the crosshairs and pulled the trigger just isn't the same for me anymore. But then I've been doing it for over 10 years now. So is it me, or are we finally getting sick of shooting? As you watch this, there are millions of folks playing Dishonored, so perhaps there's life in the old girl yet. But then again, are people really playing games like Dishonored for the shooting?
So, what's your favorite first-person shooter? Sorry if I left it out. Are you getting sick of shooting, or is it just old fuddy-duddies like me? What do you think about the rise of the PC first-person shooter? Even Counter-Strike came back. Let us know what you think. Your comments below. Put them. Next week is the final episode of Escape from Mount Stupid Season 3. I'm sorry, folks. The party had to end. But don't worry, because next week's show is a big one. It's all about ass. Assins. Ass assassins. Ass Creed. It's about Assassin's Creed.
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right. Barry, thanks for saving my life. But Barry, didn't you say you're going back to the dining room to do some research?